Peace, Morris. Kimmy here. I just wanted to demonstrate with you briefly about just a funny experience that happened when my sister and myself we were on our way to New York, and it's just always just funny to me about the reactions that we get when we wear our turbans in public. I personally wear mine a lot, especially in the wintertime. And my sister, she always wear hers. So I guess what threw people off, like we just kept being stared at the whole time. We were on our way, downtown to get on the train. The bus. And so we get on there, and this guy ended up taking a seat next to me so that a couple and their child could sit together. For some odd reason, European lady thought that she was going to sit her baby in the seat next to me so that she could sit, like to her next to her husband. And I was like, okay. Anyway, so we finally arranged where the guy who was sitting by himself, I told him he can come sit next to us. And when he sat down, he was a little inebriated, but he was still just curious as to who we were, and like what were we doing, what were we about, things of that nature. So my sister and myself, we broke down the fact that we're Moorish Americans, descendants of Morocco and born in America. And he was like, what's some more, and things of that nature. And I want to know more. So, we basically went in on, like we're leaving Philadelphia from Chinatown and we're headed to New York. And I was like, I asked the brother, I was like, don't you realize that you're sitting in the city where you lost your birthrights? I was like, we're not far from Carpenter's Hall. And and so he was like, are you a group? And I'm like, no, we're not a group. Like a Moor is something that you are. It's your descension from spirit into flesh, and that takes place in the womb during conception. So when you're manifested onto this plane of things made manifest, you're already a Moor. It's not a substitute for the word black or anything like that. So I just have to clear up that misconception that people want to tie it into black or more. No, it's not the same. Like, we need to understand that the definition of who we are were changed over and over and over, and that's how we end up coming to the word Negro or black or colored or African American. And like, we don't really ask ourselves, and this is what I had to ask him, why aren't you the only person with a nationality? Why don't you have a nationality? Why does the Irish have a nationality? Why does the German? Why do you not have a nationality? Why every couple of years or so they change you from Negro, then they change you from colored, then they change you from African American? And I was like, who's giving you these names? So with that being said, he thought about it like, good question. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And I was like, who made it their determination to name you who you are? Like, you have a birthright, And I said, you see what's adorned on my sister and myself's head is a birthright. It's yours. It was one of the many things that were stripped away from our people during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now. And all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. Otherwise, you will be a product of the bankers and the bar association by claiming to those names. I said, when you look at your name on the identification card, that's not you, that's your straw man. in all caps. I said, your mother didn't give you that name. The state gave you that name in all caps for you to utilize in the name of business. But we were, as Moors, given a free national name, Il and Bay. I even asked him a question as simple as, I said, you know who Mos Def is, right? He was like, yeah. I said, why did he change his name to Yasin Bey? You know what? I don't know. So I was just laughing at the, like how he sounded when he said it. But initially, I just had to sit back and say, wow, a lot of people have no idea what's going on. However, when my sister and myself began to demonstrate on nationality and the importance of nationality, people turned and the whole bus eyes were all on us. And he wrote in his phone to show me, do you hate white people? And I was like, no. I said, we represent or live by the highest principles known to man, which is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. What does proclaiming your nationality has to do with hating someone else other than yourself? Do you hate yourself and your Father God Allah that created you? Like, it's the question that I asked him. Why? Because I want to proclaim my nationality, I have to hate somebody else's nationality. No, I have nothing to do with hate when it comes to me proclaiming my birthright that was stripped away from me. No, I'm not upset at anything that those people did. I just have to acknowledge who I am as an individual. Because once I learn who I am, I'm also held responsible for who I am. I have to make it a daily practice to know thyself, govern thyself, study myself, because it's a lifetime job. I think what separates us apart from any other nationality, or not necessarily nationality, but just as an individual, would be your character as a Moor. You can't go around acting like a straight up Negro, on some wild style, following the Europeans' ways of how they want us to truly act, and expect to get a favorable reply to anything. A lot of Moors get arrested and they don't realize it's based upon their status code, because that's all black is according to law. It's civilitas mortis. It means civilly dead in the eyes of the law. So if you act black, that's how they're going to treat you, whether you have on a fez or a turban or not. If you don't know how to project law as it lives in us and among us, then they are going to ignore what you're saying. If you come all cocky and brass because you're a Moorish American, they still going to treat you like a Negro, because that's still not the way a character of a Moorish American is to conduct themselves in the public. Like, men are judged by their character. And one other thing we can't do, like, we were able to demonstrate who we were without coming off cocky or acting as though we're better than everybody else because we're Moorish American. No, we're just here to spread the gospel of who we are. And I could tell by the energy in the room that some people were taken aback, because you got two sisters, and like, who's going to debate? That's one other thing as Moorish American sisters we do not do, is debate with other people about truth. Truth is art, and truth can't change or pass away, so what's the debate about? We do understand that some people will not always agree with what we're saying, and that's well and good. However, I'm not going to be the wise man to endanger myself for a fool. If they don't understand, they don't get it, I'm just going to plant that seed, and someone else will come along and water it, and let that be the reason. But I'm not going to upset myself any longer. I used to, but I come to an understanding that everybody's just not going to get it, and that's fine. as long as my character is what they can identify with as truth, as light, and it can make them a better person by seeing that reflection, then that's what I'm aiming towards. Not trying to shove this information down people's throat. It's not something that can be given like meat, because the majority will choke. It's not new information. It's not something that just appeared out of the sky. This is an old gospel. There's nothing new under the sun. As cycles repeat themselves over and over. However, we have to come to the understanding of who we are and shine our light, wear our feathers, wear our turbans, but most importantly, wear our character in high regards, rather than looking good in the prophet stuff. Anybody can do that. But what Noble Drew Ali brought us was a firm foundation. He gave us knowledge of self, so we can always go back to the lessons when we're in adversity, or when we need to uplift our people or inform our people. He gave us instructions on how to do that so that we don't offend anybody, but everybody's not receptive to truth, because as we begin to speak on our history and how our birthrights were stricken, you seen a lot of Asiatics on the bus paying attention, and then you also felt the energy of Europeans like, oh man, they know something, or they're waking up, and it's just weird to me, like, personally, how I can pick up on certain people's energy. Like, for instance, my boyfriend and myself, we were sitting in a diner, and it was Europeans sitting next to us, and I told him, I was like, I can tell that they deal in acting and director, like they deal in like movies or plays or something to the kind. And then we turn around and the guy starts talking about a script, and the girl, she was talking about directing. And it's just funny how I can pick up on certain people's energy and just tell what they do. Or I can just feel where their energy is, if they have a hateful energy, if they have a jealous energy. Like, I just always know. But I always want to be clear with what my energy is and what I'm projecting to the public, because I do wear my crown on my head often, and I know that I have to be conscious of the best foot forward that I have to place, not only when it comes to myself, but as well as my children, because they're always watching me. But never be afraid to wear your light, and always be prepared to work on yourself every day, moment to moment, because thoughts become things and words become things. And if we're not in correct character, make a whole lot of people look bad. For instance, with this online debating stuff, like, brothers, and I'm talking directly to the brothers, stop doing that. Like, you don't see sisters online debating back and forth about nationality. And if they are, they're trying to be some form of a male ego or whatnot, because we don't do that. We're not on there for that. We don't need to use social media as a tool to fight in the public and look crazy to those who don't even know who we are. But yet, you have Moors that are back and forth. And I really don't want to call names, but I really could, because that's just how much you brothers make yourself look like clowns, fools online. Like, stop doing that. You don't have to debate with your brother or your sister online about who was here when the prophet died, who did what when the prophet died. At the end of the day, we're for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You're still on who did what when the prophet died. At the end of the day, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. No one cares. Because at the end of the day, Prophet Noble Drew Ali is the head of the Moorish Temple of America and all lawful temples. You're not going to argue somebody else down about who's the head of what temple, because you're not the head. So it's like a pause moment, and govern yourself accordingly. Don't be so divided. That's another problem in our organization, is division. We should not be divided. At the end of the day, I don't care if you're a Hebrew Israelite. I don't care if you're a 5%er or all those type of things. I just want you to get Negro, Black, and color off of you, because that's what's keeping our people in mental slavery. That's what's keeping our people in physical slavery, because they walk up in these courtrooms, they don't know how to defend themselves when they are misnomered or misdefined by those who want to arrest them and abuse them. Like, we just need to understand that law lives in and among us, and so we need to govern ourselves according to law. As a Moorish American, no, I don't get harassed by the police or the court systems. I don't do anything to get in trouble with the law, for one. Two, I think that our focus is on the wrong things when it comes to social media. If we're on social media, we need to be inviting each other out to unify with each other, to patron with each other, so that we can build a nation's treasure, and just keep going, because we have a solid foundation, and what Noble Drew Ali left us was divine. You have a lot of these other Moors out here saying that, oh, Temple Moors this and Temple Moors that, but everybody does not know what goes on in every temple to make a determination that somebody should leave the temple. And you know who you are, all on your radio station and everything, promote and leave the temple and this, that, and the third. That's our government. That's where you get your immunity from, not from Rome and their officials. You get your authority from the Moorish Temple of America, our authority. So stop trying to substitute it, because it doesn't work. And that's how you are operating as paper terrorists. A lot of Moors get their nationality cards and they're out the door with no experience in building their character, and they wonder why they go back out into the street and get treated the way they get treated. What he was giving us was more than just nationality. First and foremost, this guy, this beautiful, loving, divine being was something special. And if you stick and stay and get past what nationality is, you will see exactly what he was trying to show us. And that would help us to govern ourselves accordingly. I don't even have enough time in this video to explain what Noble Drew Ali was teaching us, because signs and symbols are for men of understanding. And if you can't see that, then keep developing some understanding, because it's a gift from Allah. It's not a gift from me or anybody else in the temple. It's a divine gift that if you're meant to see it, you will see it. Those with ears to hear will hear it, and those with eyes will see it. But we have to up our character. We have to stop debating and arguing online. It's very unattractive. It's very embarrassing. We don't have to run up to people on video, all up in the videos, like, what's your nationality? Like, that's embarrassing. You don't have to do that. Your character will define what nationality is, and you can teach somebody without beating them up with the lessons. That's one of the other mistakes that we make as Moorish Americans, is trying to beat somebody up with information just because you know it and the next person doesn't make them less intelligent than you. It just makes you know something that they don't know. But we're not going to continue to beat somebody else up with nationality and birthrights, because then it makes us look unperfected in what it is that we know. It's causing confusion, it's causing chaos, and it causes people to run away from the very thing that they should be running to, and then some. So with that being said, it's beautiful to show who you are, in good light, in good character. Because by the time my sister and myself left off that bus, we didn't even know the bus driver knew about a Moor, but by the time he came off, he bowed to us and gave us a hand press. And I was like, oh, okay, Islam, it kept it moving. And, but it felt good to the spirit, because there are people that are waking up. There are people that are learning and recognizing themselves, and that's the most important point we want them to get. for right now, it seems like women have to do the job, because the men can't let their lower selves out of the way. They can't stop debating long enough to make sure that we have a school for our children, our own co-op grocery stores, or our own gardens, our own government establishment. Some people get too tied up in their titles, and they lose sight of what the prophet brought us. At no point in time should there be a grand official, or whatever title you want to put on yourself, cussing out members of the Moorish Temple of America. That's not cool. You're not a leader if you're doing that. That's not character building. You're just showing us what we don't need to be like. We should always do our best to operate under the guise of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And if we end up fighting with our brother and sister, that means that we're still doing the will of the Europeans, and that we're straying to the ideas of Europe, of whom we know nothing. And when we get past that, we can finally build and grow as a Moorish nation. So I just wanted to put that on some dial plates of some Moors, and exercise for us to be ourselves and not someone else. I come in peace, I leave in peace, and happy Sunday. Shalom.
Feel